enjoying the process is something I think you have to learn. I don't think it's something that you can just do. I think it's something that you have to actually go through some steps to get there and to learn. And so allow me to tell you a little story about my music career. Now, I come from the East Coast of Canada, which is very, very musical. Pretty much, half the people there play some kind of instrument. And so me as well. I grew up playing the guitar and grew up playing the piano. When you start something like that, you're really excited. You're really excited to like learn your first song, get your first song. But there's also things that you have to learn before it starts getting fun. You can't just pick up a guitar and learn a song in your first day. What you have to do is you have to like slowly spend like a week learning one or two chords, and then the next week learning some other chords, and then your fingers get hard so you can actually press the strings without hurting yourself. Those are called calluses, and that takes a bit of time to build up. And then you have to learn to transition between the chords, and you have to get the timing right, and you have to get the strumming right and the rhythm right. And basically it's fun, but it's not really that fun. Like when you're starting to learn to play the guitar, you have to really just dedicate yourself to it for a little while before it becomes any fun. Because at first you're not gonna be able to play any song. You have to put in a sacrifice. You have to put in some time before you can actually get to the point where you can learn a song. And then eventually you are going to learn a song, and that's the goals, right? Like when you're starting, that's what you do. You set a goal. And you say, okay, I'm going to learn this song, and you learn the chords around that song, and then you learn the transition, and then you learn the rhythm, and so on. And then you move on to the next song. And so what you're doing is you're setting a goal, which is learn this song, and then you're achieving that goal, and then you're moving on to the next goal. And what you tell yourself is, okay, well, when I learn this next song, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be able to play that, and it's going to be great. And then when you get there, you realize that, okay, well, this just means I have to learn another song, and then you learn another song, and then you learn another song, and it just continually goes on. And eventually, like anyone, when you're young and learning to play the guitar, you know a lot of songs eventually. You do this for a year, you do this for 2 years, eventually, like you have this whole repertoire of songs. But you have to get through those initial stages, and I call that the suck. You have to get through the suck in order to get to the point where you can actually enjoy it. Now, eventually, I started playing guitar when I was 9. Like it's been quite a few years since I've been playing. It's the first thing that I would say that I have mastered. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm Jimi Hendrix, obviously, but I felt accomplished. I felt accomplished to the point where I could play things by ear. I could pick up new songs really quickly. It wasn't as challenging for me to learn a new song. It just kind of came natural, and you get this mastery with an instrument after a while that you can kind of pick it up and just strum and enjoy it and learn songs by ear. You can listen to it on the radio, and then you can kind of pick it up right away. And so for me, that's where I was like, okay, well, this is something that I have more or less mastered to my ability. But enjoying the process came after that. And what I mean by that is when I was young and I was learning to play the guitar, I couldn't just tell myself, okay, I'm going to enjoy the process. I was like, that wouldn't have worked. What I did was when I was actually able to go through that process and get through the suck, learn one song at a time, get through those goal settings, and eventually get to the point where you're really good at it. That's something I think that I had to learn how to do. You have to learn how to enjoy the process, firstly by mastering something. And so yes, I enjoyed the learning, but my focus was on accomplishing the goals. My focus was on, let's get to the point where I can play this song. Let's get to the point where I can play this song. I wasn't like learning the guitar and learning a new chord and really putting time into perfecting that. What I was doing is I was setting this goal and I was working to achieve it, and I didn't really enjoy it. So it was only after I mastered this one thing, the guitar, that I was able to transcend the need to set goals to improve. And so I was able to apply that to the gym. I was able to apply that to work, to school, and so on. And basically what that means is I was able to take that lesson of mastering something and basically transcend the need to set those goals and instead focus on what I want to do and what I enjoy doing, and focus on putting the perfection and putting the focus on the quality of learning something as opposed to focusing on the goal of it. And I'm going to tell you a brief little story here about an archer, and this is a very short story, but basically there was this guy and he wanted to learn how to use the bow. And so he wanted to become an archer, basically. And so he picked up the bow, and he worked at it. And I mean, I messed around with the bow when I was a kid, and let me tell you, it is not an easy thing. You see Legolas on Lord of the Rings flipping around, and of course he's an elf, but it is very, very difficult to use the bow. And so essentially what this guy did is he dedicated himself to it, and I don't know how many years he spent trying to master this craft, but he basically came to the point where he was a master. He could, flick off an arrow and hit a target, and he could do it every time, and it took him a long, long time to get to that level. But what happened after he mastered it was he put the bow away. He stopped. He wasn't an archer anymore. He put it down. And so the whole point of that story is that he didn't care so much about being an archer. What he cared about was learning the process of how to master something so that he could take that process and those lessons on how to actually accomplish something and apply that to other areas of his life. And I really think that that's what people have to do. I really think like especially when you're young, like, and there's people that go their whole lives without actually accomplishing something, which is very, very unfortunate. But when you're young, you have to dedicate yourself to something and you have to master it. And you don't have to become the best in the world, because the chances of that are actually pretty damn slim. But you have to dedicate yourself to something that you're probably not going to enjoy. You have to just do it and set those goals and accomplish that goals, and then you get like a little adrenaline rush, and you get some dopamine, and you're really happy that you accomplished that goal, and then you're sad again because you have to learn something else, so you move on to the next goal, and you have to go through that to the point where you can actually master something, or to the point where you have mastered something, before you can transcend the suck and actually focus on enjoying the process. And so the downside of that when you're learning is that you're only really happy when you achieve a goal, right? The benefit of enjoying the process is that you're actually more happier throughout the whole process, and you're actually able to do better in the long term because you're focusing on the quality. And when you focus on the quality, what that allows you to do is improve upon it. If you spend all your time focusing on quality, the quality is going to get better.